Connie Gartside's Triumph, Chapter 5. Is Ralph back yet, Mum? Good grief, Connie, love. Can't you enter the house in less of a rush? You're enough to give a body heart failure. It's important, Mum. No, not yet. She looked up at the old grandfather clock in the corner. I doubt if they'll be back for at least another half hour. What's got into you? Nothing. Nothing? 1 minute it's important and next it's nothing. No, Mum, I mean it's important, but nothing's got into me. OK, let's start again. What is so important, Connie, my love? Rosie turned away, attempting to suppress a laugh and having to turn it into a cough. As she did so, she noticed the headline on the front page of the Farmer's Weekly, resting on the cushion of Mr. Gartside's favourite armchair by the fire. Look at this, she said, grabbing the paper. She placed it on the table between Connie and Elsie. The headline read, Sheep Thieves in Longdendale. Isn't that just the other side of Glossop? Yes, Rosie, but what's this got to do with us? Connie gripped her mother's arm. That's what I'm trying to tell you, Mum. There was a Land Rover and trailer in the old quarry, and men were loading sheep into it. It was the same colour as the Land Rover and trailer that nearly hit us yesterday. Right, Connie. Why didn't you say that at first? I'll phone around and see if any of our neighbours were moving sheep. When was this? Only about half an hour ago. That's why I was suspicious. It was too late for today's market and far too early for Wednesday's. I'll put the kettle on, Rosie said, marching over to the sink. Good idea, Elsie responded as she picked up the phone and began to dial. I could murder a brew. Can I make some sandwiches, Mum? I'm starving, and I bet Rosie is too. Yes, there's some cold beef in the fridge and a jar of pickle in the larder. Hello? Could I speak to your mother, Louise? Tell her it's urgent. They'd just finished their impromptu brew and snack when Ralph and his father returned. Elsie informed them what was going on. None of our neighbours have been moving sheep. I've phoned everyone. I've also phoned the police and given them a description of the Land Rover and trailer. They could have crammed at least a dozen into that trailer, Ralph pointed out. Aye, and a few more if they were determined, Mr. Gartside added. Did either of you notice whose sheep they were? Connie shook her head. We were too far away to see the markings, Father. What markings? Rosie asked, puzzled. All the sheep have painted marks on them, Rosie, Ralph responded. Each farmer has a particular colour so they can sort them out when they're brought off the hill. There were some with blue and some with a dark red. Blast! The red uns are towers, Mr. Gartside exclaimed. How many, lass? I'm not sure. By the time I had my binoculars out, they'd almost finished loading them. At least 3, I think. We'll be lucky to get away with 3, Father, Ralph responded. Aye, lad, and we Gartsides aren't famous for our luck, are we? Is the glass half full or half empty? Elsie responded. Ralph grinned, putting his arm round Connie's shoulder. Aye, don't be daft, Father. Your glass is more than half full. We've got my little sister, haven't we? And we could have so easily lost her 6 years back. Rosie gazed at him in admiration. What a lovely lad you are, Ralph Gartside, she said to herself, and not for the first time either. Anyhow, Elsie said, there's not much we can do tonight, but we can keep our eyes skinned from now on. We can make our own luck. If they were here yesterday and today, chances are they'll be back soon. We'd best spread word around the village, and Little Hayfield, Edale and Raworth, Birchvale and Chinley. In the meantime, I'll get tea on. Once we've had up meal, I can prepare for our guests. What time did they say they'd arrive, Connie? 8:30, Mum. It's on the notepad by the phone. At that point, the phone rang. Elsie sped across the room and lifted it to her ear. Oh, it's you, Jack. No, don't be daft. There's always space for one more. No, I won't hear of it. Come over now. You can eat with us. I'm just about to prepare the food. Never mind the sportsman. They can't match mine. She replaced the receiver, a beaming smile on her face. We've got a surprise visitor. Your grandad, young Rosie. You best go meet him and take extra torch. He's down in the village. It's pitch black out there." "I'll come with you, Rosie," Ralph volunteered. "And me," said Connie. Rosie looked at her. Connie frowned. Rosie didn't look happy. Elsie intervened. "I need you here, Connie. You can help me prepare the meal, young miss." Rosie went to retrieve her jacket, woolly hat and scarf, a big grin illuminating her face. Ralph opened the door to allow Rosie out when Connie called after them. "Are you going to tell him, Rosie?" If looks could kill, Connie would have died on the spot. As it happened, she merely returned Rosie's glare with a mischievous and defiant laugh. Elsie chuckled and then turned away. Ralph looked nonplussed. "What did Connie mean?" he asked as they made their way across the yard. Rosie looked up at him with her bright blue eyes. "I haven't got a clue," she lied. They were soon through the gate and walking down Cowle Clough. "What have you been up to today, Rosie, apart from tracking down sheep rustlers?" "Trying to sort out your sister's love life and walking on Kinder." "Connie's love life? She hasn't been falling out with poor Mikey again, has she?" "I think she's played hard to get once too often. Mikey was obviously feeling pretty miserable when we met him in the village this morning. She's always winding the poor lad up. What she doesn't realise is that Mikey's a very sensitive soul." "Well, at least I think she's learnt her lesson. We called in to see him, and Connie asked him to come walking with us. Trouble is, he turned her down point blank and said he didn't want to spend time with her." "Good for him. Let's hope you're right and she has learnt her lesson." Rosie looked up at him once more, although he was concentrating on the crumbling road surface and didn't notice. She finally plucked up her courage. "Have you got a girlfriend, Ralph?" He shook his head. "There's a girl I like a lot, but who'd fancy a farmer's lad like me? Anyway, she's too young for me. She won't be 14 until the end of this month." "You're only 17. When you're 20, she'll be 17, and when you're 30, she'll be 27. That's not a big difference. My dad was 7 years older than Mum." "I never thought of it like that." He looked down at her and smiled. "Maybe I'll ask her for a date on her birthday." He seemed to speed up, as though the idea had put a spring in his step. Rosie was not happy. She wondered who the lucky girl could be.